Yeah. Okay. So before I hit the record button, we were talking a little bit about joy on the spiritual path. I just want to on that point. I just want to say this: when you look at the scriptures, when you look at the traditions, when you look at the representations of, whether it's the Buddha or Jesus or Confucius or Zoroaster or whoever your favorite sage or preceptor is, they all seem so serious. And I'm pretty sure that that's not an accurate representation. Okay? I've been lucky enough to be around some really illuminated people. And I know some of you have as well. And what I've found consistently is that they're all a big barrel of monkeys. They are all a bundle of fun, and that it's just the strivers, it's the people who are like, trying to be spiritual, that are like, okay, straighten up, get serious now. The people who are there, the people who are awakened, they don't have to worry about that stuff, and they're hilarious. They. So my theory is, I mean, if the illuminated people that I've been around are like that, I think Jesus must have been that way. The Buddha must have been. Lao Tzu, the Baal Shem Tov, all of the must Halaj, all the people that were there must have been that way. I mean, yeah, there's different personalities, but living joy, and my own experience, and I know it's the experience of all of you. The more we imbibe the quality of the what spirituality really is about, which is not an attitude, not a thought, not a philosophy, not a way of life. It's, spirituality is about the spirit. It is about the field of boundless beingness, that is what we are and what everything is at our core. And I don't know if I know actually you have noticed this, that the more you imbibe that, the more fun it is, the more fun life becomes. So I think, man, if we're experiencing that, all the heavyweights of spiritual history, Jesus and the Buddha, all the big boys, they had to have been like that. So my theory is what happened was, after they passed, what was left was their disciples, and the disciples were not necessarily at that level of illumination, and they were strivers. They were still like trying to get there, and like once the old man is gone, it was kind of embarrassing when the Buddha used to tell those fart jokes or whatever. And so what I think is they edited it out. They gave us the stone Buddha with the very serious look and so forth. And if you look closely, you can find remnants, I think, of the humor. There's stuff in the Gospels that sound like Jesus is doing stand-up. Where people ask about the kingdom of heaven, and is the kingdom of heaven up in the sky? Is it in the depth? And he said, "Hey, the kingdom of heaven's in the sky. The birds will be there before you. The kingdom of heaven, if it's in the depths of the sea, the fishes will be there before you." That's pretty good material. That's stand-up, Um, uh, there's a place where the Buddha. This is something we were talking about last week or the week before. The position to meditate in, and the Buddha says there's four main positions for meditation: sitting, standing, lying down, and walking. Okay, that's pretty hilarious, because what it means, it's this kind of, the punchline is, hey, whatever you're doing, that can be the meditation. Bum. All right. So maybe you had to be there. maybe it was their delivery. Maybe their delivery was funnier than mine. But let's meditate before I dig myself in deeper. Okay, so please sit up comfortably. And let's start today by just looking at, pick out a spot somewhere in the room where you're sitting, maybe a spot on the opposite wall, wherever it's comfortable, just somewhere to rest your eyes, to rest your gaze. Maybe a spot, what often works well would be a spot on the floor or on the rug a few yards ahead of you. You don't have to be sitting looking at with the screen. If the computer screen's in front of you and it would be difficult to move, just pick a spot on the wall opposite or something. And just rest your gaze there. That's simple. Not staring, not trying not to blink, not trying to exclude the other stuff, just resting your gaze. You can also do it the way the Muslims do in prayer, which is just let your gaze rest in the open palms of your hands. There's something actually rather beautiful about that. Just resting your gaze, that's simple. And at some point when you feel like it, just allow your eyes to gently close. Just leaving everything as it is. That's simple. Resting in present awareness, the only kind of awareness there is. That's simple. It's called present awareness because it's never even 1 nanosecond in the past or the future. And it's called present because it's a present. It's given to us. We don't do anything to earn it. It's a gift. So nothing for us to do but receive the gift graciously. within this present, this gift of present awareness, anything could be there. Anything can be in the gift box or the wrapping, the ribbon. Thoughts about this, feelings like that. Wonderful. All a lovely, perfect gift. We all know the saying, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. We don't criticize the gift. Thank you, life. Thank you, universe. Thank you, God, for this wonderful present. We get to be aware. What a miracle. Let's not quibble about the details. Rest in it as it is. Not just tolerate it, but graciously, oh, thank you, gratefully accept it, however it is. Heartfully accept it. Accept it not just with the mind, but with the heart. Accept it deep in your bones. Life or awareness, beingness, or the universe or God has made this moment just as it is. We don't insult them by trying to fix it. God knows what she's doing. This moment as it is. The result of everything happening as it did from the Big Bang till this perfect moment. Just thank you. Just rest in it as it is. All taken care of for us. Served up on a silver platter. right here, right here, just like this. Just marinating in this awareness, this beingness. Letting all your pores open wide to accept the gift with your whole body. There's nothing to change or keep the same. Nothing to edit. Nothing to construct. We can get out of the construction business at last. And just rest in this gift, this moment, this beingness as it is. At last. This is the place. This beingness, this what we've been looking for our whole life and everything we've done. And it turns out that the key is not doing, just being, just resting. Just resting in openness to this openness. So take a few minutes to gently bring the body back to a more active state. After a few minutes, when you feel ready, you can slowly open the eyes. Okay, how's everyone doing? If you're still opening your eyes, great, take your time. Oh, I have to empower you to unmute yourselves. So, everyone good? Good. Any questions or observations about anything tonight, today, whatever this is? Nobody? Someone's just unmuted. Did someone try to talk there? No? Happy New Year.
I was going to say it at the end, Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Metukra, a sweet year.
Sweet year. Is that the Yehudit? Is that the literal translation? Shana Tova? That's sweet year?
No. Shana is a year.
Right.
Tova is good. Good year.
Uh-huh.
Metukra. Metukra, matok, metukra is sweet.
Uh-huh.
I didn't say the whole thing. I just read in English.
Right. Oh, so Tova is good. It's like our friend Tova, who joins us sometimes from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yep.
In Hebrew, everything is masculine, feminine. So a year is feminine.
Right.
Think about it.
Okay.
So we say first year, good. We don't say good year. Year, good.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah. Perfect. That's her name. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. I taught very briefly once at a Jewish school. I lasted there for about 3 weeks.
What did you teach? Not Hebrew?
No. I tried to teach English. It did not go well. It did not end well. But it was interesting because there were a lot of religion teachers there who were, I guess they were rabbis or something, and they were uh, mostly I think Americans and kind of easygoing. They went along with the program and so forth. But then there were the Hebrew teachers, and they were all Sabra women. And let's just say they ran the place. Right? You did not argue with them about anything.
To learn a language, you need to learn it from the natives.
Yeah.
I was teaching many years ago in the State Department. I worked
Wow.
in the State Department in DC, in the
Right.
languages to all the diplomats going to Israel.
Right.
We were all natives, Sabras.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, good experience, interesting.
Right. So good. Happy New Year to everyone. What else do we have? Judith, yes, please. Please grace
Good
us with your
evening,
observations.
team.
Oh,
Everyone. Hi.
yeah, hi, Judith.
I just wanted to make an observation that I so I started meditating with you a while ago, and there have been many changes in my life, but one of them that seems so simple and so silly that I would like to describe is that I'm not a technology.
Okay, you know what? Hold on for 1 second.
And my
wait,
internet
Judith.
keeps collapsing.
Yeah. I'm having some.
When I used to have to call my internet provider and someone would walk me through the entire process, I would find it so frustrating. And it happened.
Yeah, Judith.
Yeah?
Okay. I was having a little trouble with my connection, and I hopefully
Yes.
just made it better. Could you? I was having trouble hearing what you were saying. Can you repeat it? Sorry. We're by the way, we're
Of course. So I found that since I've started doing
yeah, we're having trouble with your sound for some reason. Bye-bye. Okay. Hang on, folks. Let's see what we can do here. So Judith, we've lost your picture. We've lost. Are you there?
I've turned the picture off, hoping I'm here. I turned the picture off, hoping that it would improve the quality of the sound.
Okay. Okay. So go ahead. Give it another try.
Okay. So I found that since I started meditating with you, I have changed in a lot of ways. In some ways are really simple, but so beautiful. So I used to struggle with technology a lot. And now that we're on Zoom, I have to work on Zoom 9 hours a day. Internet keeps cutting out, so I find myself having to talk quite a lot to people over the phone, having to reset modems. And in the past, that used to be so frustrating. In the last couple of times, I don't know what it was just awareness. I was aware of the person speaking to me. I was aware of the effort they were making. And both times it turned into such beautiful conversations. Both times my issues were solved much faster than ever before. And I walked away. It was just they were great experiences. I know that I would not have had them if it were not for my meditating with you.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you for that report. These field reports, I think they're so great. They're so helpful to me to hear that the stuff is working and how the stuff is working for people, the particular ways that that the beingness percolates into the warp and woof of people's lives. I think I'm mixing metaphors there a little bit, but you get what I'm saying. And it's always helpful, and I really want to encourage everyone to, whatever kind of reports you have, even with things that may seem trivial to you, it's so helpful to the whole sangha, to the whole group, because, you know, what we're doing, basically the whole world is there to tell us that what we're doing is insane. You know, that you know, the meditative enterprise, the spiritual journey has always been deemed insane by the world at large. Okay, you're going to sit there with your eyes closed, and that's going to somehow solve your problems and solve the world's problems, right? It's on its face, it's nuts, right? Until you experience it. Oh yeah, because you know because why? We experience, and so it's very helpful to have reinforcements, to be not the only crazy one. We have to have our crazy friends here with us to confirm for us, you know, that we hear it in each other's reports. We see it in, you know, each other's eyes, really. So good. So first, Judith, thank you. And second, you know, one of the things that I love about that story is that it's a story of not of everything going smoothly and great, but there's a story of something that's a problem, story of some kind of fly in the ointment, which is, you know, in this case, the internet cutting out and so forth, and that it's not that, you know, I was reading something. Some forum on Facebook that of people who were connected with my old teacher Maharishi, and you know, a lot of people, because, you know, this is going back to when he first came to out of India and started teaching in 1959, and, you know, taught thousands of people. And so there's this forum, and usually I can't stand being on these forums for very long, because there's some kind of law of where every, you know, the biggest knucklehead always seems to drag things down to his or her level, usually his level, pretty quickly. So they're going through, there's this whole debate in this forum about, well, I heard that Maharishi was in a plane crash. How could he have been enlightened if he was in a plane crash? Right? It's such a stupid, complete misunderstanding of how the thing works. It's not that nothing happens to you, but you know what? I actually, as I'm saying this, I'm remembering I was on a retreat with Maharishi in, I think this was when we were in Mallorca, in, you know, lovely island in the Mediterranean, and Maharishi was, you know, he would sit up on the stage with a lot of flowers around him and, you know, he could talk for hours. He was tireless. And at the end, he was coming down. We would all stand up in a traditional way, and I was standing near the steps, and there were steps leading kind of down from the platform, and I was standing there right next to the steps with a couple of other people. And as he was going down one step, he momentarily stumbled, and then he, you know, righted himself and continued to walk. And he goes out the door, and one person standing next to me says to the other person standing next to me, "Geez, did you see that? Maharishi stumbled." And the second guy said, "Oh no, he couldn't have stumbled. Maharishi is an enlightened being. He can't stumble." And he proceeds to convince himself, and as I recall, convince the other guy that, you know, not to believe their lying eyes, to believe their knuckleheaded misunderstanding of what enlightenment is. That it means that no problems ever arise. That means, you know, you can't make a mistake. You can never stumble. But does that mean you can never spell a word wrong? Come on, right? But what it means is that, yeah, you stumble, you're in plane crashes, you spell words wrong, whatever, but it's the on the much deeper level than that, on the absolute. That stuff's all on the relative level, on the surface, on the level of the waves. It's the depth of the ocean. It's the beingness which is infinitely okay no matter what. It does not depend on all your planes landing safely and on you never stumbling for that okayness to be there. Right? So the kind of experience, Judith, that you reported where, okay, that's your, am I cutting out or something, Judith? Judy? Yeah, okay. You know, we need a signal.
You're frozen. You're frozen.
Ah, okay. Can you hear me talking?
I can hear you talking.
Okay.
I've lost your picture completely.
Okay. Well, we don't care about my picture.
You know, you might want to turn your video off. That might conserve your bandwidth, and then we could at least hear you well.
Are you having trouble hearing me, Richard?
Yeah, you were cutting out, but I think if you were to turn your video off, it might help.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. You know, I'm broadcasting from my daughter's garage here in Pacific Grove, and the internet's a little funky. So, okay. There I am at the Taj Mahal, and I've suddenly become younger. Yeah, we'll go with that.
How about that?
Yeah, I like that. Does that help?
Not.
Richard, does that seem to be helping the sound?
Beautiful.
Does that help the sound?
Yes, it definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And
yeah.
by the way, going forward, let's all go. Anytime my sound starts being bad enough that I should repeat myself, just if people would, put your hands behind your ears to signal me, so I don't go on for too many paragraphs, and then have to do it again. Okay, what were we talking about? Where was I?
Dean?
Maharishi not stumbling.
Maharishi not stumbling, yeah. Okay, abiding, okayness. Okay, let's move on. Okay, saying something, doesn't matter. Okay, what else? Yeah, Hudit, I see you leafing through one of my books. I love to see that. That's one of my favorite things. Someone's reading one of my books. Look, a book report.
I just really late at night, I said, just look at the book. I mean, really not reading, just look at the book and the very first pages. And I'm asking myself, did he just write this book last week? Because in the very beginning of this book,
Yeah.
You're talking about fear, and there's a sentence there in one of the first pages. But no matter who is elected today or impeached tomorrow, and then you make a list of all the fears. We have a fear of pain, of confusion, of change. So there's like, oh my gosh, it's just like same thing today as was whenever you wrote it. When did you write this book? Because it started with the fear of the election. We are like, we are getting crazy because that's it, fear of that.
I saw a T-shirt once. It said, same bullshit, different day. Right? Look, this stuff was going on in the Buddha's time. This stuff was going on in Jesus' time. People, like, they read about the Buddha, you see pictures and you think of this very idyllic thing. But there was politics going on. When the Buddha's movement, when he started getting a lot of, disciples following him, just as today there were politicians trying to co-opt his movement, he had a nephew who said, wow, that looks like a successful business. I could monetize that thing. He kept, there was, okay, I'm getting an ear sign from a few people. Okay,
right.
1, 2, 1, 2. You hearing me now? Hearing me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. In the time of the Buddha, he had a nephew who kept plotting to assassinate him, supposedly. Things don't change much. The answer to your question specifically, I wrote that book 4 years ago, during the last election campaign. And in fact, if you go to, there's a chapter in somewhere near the end titled, I think it's titled November 10th or November 9th, 2016, whatever was the day after the election in 2016. And
Yeah.
and especially, you know, if you're feeling very caught up in the political situation, which amazingly is even more fraught now than it was 4 years ago, I would recommend you read that chapter, and I'll tell you something about that. The When I wrote that yeah, what is it? Yeah, November something. Yeah. Anyway, good enough. Good enough. When I wrote that chapter, I was I was red hot, and you can see it in the chapter, and I wrote this chapter, and then I sat down with Yafa, and I said, you know, I've written this thing, and I can't put this in the book. Because, I mean, you know, I've been teaching this stuff for a long time, and I've always scrupulously stayed away from politics. And for years, you know, you do this stuff, and people would try to drag me into political things and interpret the teaching in a political way and all that, and I would never do it. But you know, I wrote that thing, and then I before I read it to Yafa, I said, I've written this thing, and I can't put it in the book, but I can't not put it in the book, because this is about fear and anxiety and anger, and I'm feeling all of those things, and I know a lot of people are, and I can't write this book without not addressing that. You know, that this thing has happened, which is kicking up, you know, cranking up the fear and anxiety and anger and substance addiction, all those things, cranking it up to 11 for lots and lots of people.
I remember being in your home for the session after, and there was a young woman who raised also her concern, and she said, I cannot sleep. I mean, it was like taking a month. We were like morning, and I remember that session in your home, how we discussed that. So that's very appropriate to help us to feel, you know, feeling this. What I feel is like I'm not alone. Okay, I'm not alone, because I'm not saying only me getting crazy. But so it helps. It's very helpful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good. Yeah, and again, you know, sangha, being in the group, seeing each other, helps remind us that we're not alone in this stuff, and practicing together reminds us that it's up to us. You know, who else is going to do it? You know, we've been so blessed. We've been given, you know, as I was saying in the meditation, we've been given the gift. We have been given the gift of beingness. That we've been given the present of the present, and somehow through some incredible grace we've had contact with teachers who've shown us how easy it is to just open yourself to it and marinate it in it, you know, soak in it like soaking in a hot tub. You know, there's a wonderful story where the Buddha says, he says to his disciples, imagine that the entire earth is covered by an ocean. And swimming around in this ocean is a blind sea turtle. And somewhere on the ocean, there's floating a single piece of wood with a knot hole in the middle of it. Once every 100 years, the sea turtle comes up to the surface for a gulp of air and then goes back down for another 100 years. What are the odds that when he comes up out of the whole surface of the world, his head is going to come up through the knothole of that piece of driftwood. He says, those are the odds that you will be born out of all the kinds of bodies you can be born into, that you will be born into a precious human body. They always say that, a precious human body, capable of opening itself to the full experience of beingness, and that you will be exposed to Dharma teachings that will show you the simplicity of how to do that, and that you will have the opportunity to practice. You'll have the leisure to practice. Most people, even if they were aware that this dimension of existence exists, even if they were aware of it, most people, they're too caught up, they're in refugee camps, they're scrapping to make a living, they're trying to deal with their kids' problems. If we're sitting here, we have the luxury to practice this, and we know how to practice. We have a precious human nervous system that allows us to practice. We're the blind sea turtle that has lucked out. So, I mean, to me, that gives us an obligation to share it as best we can. And it doesn't mean run down to the mall, if there was anyone in the malls now, and or into the street corners and start with a bullhorn and start evangelizing. I mean, if that worked, then I'd say, yeah, great, do it. But it doesn't work, as you may have noticed. But the first thing we can do is absolutely be strong and consistent in our own practice. Because I really do feel that on some level, I really believe this, that people who are doing this kind of practice, we're like air conditioning units. Actually, it's a very good metaphor for right now. We can see we got the crazy apocalyptic orange sky, and it's like that's the manifestation. That's like the physical manifestation of what's been going on in the world's consciousness. All that psychic toxicity. It's as if. I mean, maybe there's something literal to this, or it's just poetically. It's as if that's the physical manifestation of that toxicity. And it's up to people who know how to sit and marinate in the pure beingness that transcends all toxicity, our own personal toxicity and the collective toxicity of the world. It's as if we have an obligation to do that. We're the air conditioning units for everyone else. And there's people we've never met who are the air conditioning units for us. The fact that we're able to get up in the morning and move through a day, probably some guy sitting in a cave in Tibet right now who's, keeping the ceilings up over our heads. So we have to be grateful and give back. And then, in your interactions with people, and I'm sure you've seen this, really, Judith's story brings it out in one particular aspect of it, which is in our dealings with people, without ever necessarily saying anything about Dharma, beingness, meditation, it just percolates into the way we radiate to others. And then, and because most of the time you can't tell people anything. Most people, most of the time, you can't tell them anything. But if you because who could have told you before you were ready to hear this? How many things did you have to do that in your life that didn't work before you could hear what works? All right. So usually we can't tell other people, but also if we listen, and I find that this is one of the things, because I don't, I say I'm not a naturally good listener. I was born to talk, and I had to learn to listen. But meditation, because in meditation you're listening. You're listening to the moment. You're listening to the being. You're listening to God, so to speak. And I find that one of the one of the ways that that manifests in the other 23 hours of the day is being more able to open myself up and listen to others and not be, the way most people quote unquote listen is not really listening because they're sitting there thinking of, well, what is it that I should say? Right? Trying to come up with something clever, some clever way to respond. Right? And so here's the thing, to just, I see this is ringing a bell for some of you. This is great. Because I think it's really a powerful thing, is to listen with no thought of ever necessarily opening your mouth and responding. To just really being open, just to be the beingness. Because what most people want, I think, when they're talking and telling you about their problems, they don't want to hear your clever damn responses. That's not what it's for. They need to unload. They need some beautiful bottomless pit of beingness to dump they need some beautiful, okay, 1 2 1 2, no, we're all freezing up, damn. Okay. Okay, still freezing up, now you're all freezing.
We're not hearing you,
okay.
Dean.
1 2 1 2, you hearing me yet?
Okay, now we hear you.
Now I'm back. Yeah. So what most people want, I think, when they're, talking to you, telling you their problems and so forth, is not for you to try to solve their problems, because the solution is the beingness. The way you help be the solution is to be there as the silence, be there as the beingness, to be the air conditioner, the big, open, perfect, cool, clear air of beingness into which they can dump their stuff, and it is vaporized harmlessly within the expanse of your beingness, and you're just sitting there. And again, this is one of these things that sounds insane to people who've not experienced it. And by the way, it's so heartening for me to have a whole screen full of Hollywood Square friends here that I can say this stuff to and know that you know what I'm talking about. So thanks for showing up. Yes, Lynn, please. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Yeah, and professionally for myself, very similar to what you're saying, is that my mantra has been to listen to somebody, to hear them, and then to respect them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Amen.
I think it's nothing new. Nothing new in the world.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And, and knowing all of the work that you've done with people who are really, facing it, I hesitate to even open my mouth about topics like this, because I know you've really been on the front lines with it.
I think that each, I would beg to differ with you, because each caveat is different, just as all of our fingerprints are different. And so everybody brings something to it, and listening well and hearing well.
Yeah.
Because every situation is unique unto itself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think acknowledging that uniqueness is a big part of I love your use of the word respect.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we try to fit the other person into our prefabricated response, that's not respect, because it's not really seeing the person that's in front of them. You know, this is a big temptation. This is a big occupational hazard for someone who does what I do, because you talk about a lot of the same stuff over and over, and you refine your expressions, and there's a real, you hear someone saying something, and you've really worked on getting expressions that really work, and there's a tendency to sit there, and I can just feel it going, okay, this is, trot out tape number 17A sub 3. Right, there's the bell as the tape comes out. And on the one hand, so there's some place finding the sweet spot of, yes, you want to take advantage of the work that you've done to refine the expressions and get it right and get it clear so it's not misunderstood, but to not have it prefabricated, to not be phoning it in, as it were.
Well, it's not. It's like when we sing at the bedsides of people at the end of their lives. When we enter that space, we leave ourselves behind.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
it doesn't become something about us. It's
Right.
being there, totally immersed with the person and persons that are in the room,
Right.
much like the listening and hearing and respecting is
Yeah.
not about the person listening. It's about the others.
Yeah. And that's a tremendous opportunity for us, because anytime you get a chance to leave yourself behind,
Yeah.
it means that you're taking off that tight shoe of selfhood. And that's a glorious privilege. That's what meditation is for. And we're told that's what dying is. That's the final, really taking off the tight shoe and not having to put it back on again. Hallelujah. Yeah. Yeah. I want to come back to this word respect, because it's reminding me, Lynn, of actually a wonderful teacher of ours that some of you've heard me talk about before, Charles Genoux, the Buddhist teacher from Switzerland, and an expression that he uses when he leads meditation, which I should steal this from him, is we always have to address when the thoughts come up or when the feelings come up, and what he'll sometimes say is, respect what you feel. Right? In the same way that we're going to respect the other person, respect what you feel. Because the moment you're trying to fix it, the moment you're trying to fix I shouldn't have these thoughts, I should have other thoughts, or I shouldn't have thoughts, I should have no thoughts, or I shouldn't be having this kind of feeling or emotion, it's disrespecting the wholeness of yourself. And if you truly hear that, I think, respect what you feel, then that's thoughts and feelings, whatever coming up in meditation, is no longer an issue. It's all part of the gift. Good. Oh, now it's time for kirtan. Where's my ukulele? Hang on a sec. Oops. Okay. How are things going? Let's try it with the video again. Okay. Yeah, am I okay? 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, is this working?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Francesca, are you still there? Ah, she's gone. Okay, she was gonna join me on the ukulele. There she is. You got your uke?
I'm here.
Good.
I'm here.
You got your uke? Okay, good. And you got the chords for them.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the Gopala Lullaby. Okay? You're good with that? By the way, let me just say musically to Francesca, the special sauce is the A sus chord. Right? You know how to play that A sus?
No.
Okay,
I didn't.
okay, good. Let me just show this one to you. Just let me take a second for this, because sus chords are the best thing in the world. Okay, so you got your regular A chord here, A major chord, right? These two fingers. Okay, now slide your second finger up one fret, so it's right under the third finger.
Can you show it?
Yeah. So they're both so these two strings are both at the second fret.
Ah.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and then slide back that finger back down into the regular A chord. Right. So it's okay. That's musically that's the special sauce. Okay, just saying. Okay, now I'm going to mute you.
Good.
Good. Okay. So so this is the Gopala Lullaby. And this is in keeping with if you read my newsletter for this week, that wonderful story about baby Krishna. And the story is that when Krishna was a baby, and Krishna is one of the many in India.
And we lost you.
I'm back. You hearing me?
A little bit.
Okay. 1 2 1 2. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Just not seeing you.
Okay.
Maybe you're.
Okay. Everyone's coming
there
back.
you are.
Everyone's coming back. Okay. Maybe I'll turn off my video. Maybe that'll help. Okay. So briefly, the story in the newsletter, it's this wonderful traditional story about Krishna. So backing up a step, one of the real richness of the Indian tradition is that you have all these different manifestations of the formless, all these different forms of the formless. All these, the beingness is just the beingness, of course, has no form, no nothing. But so that we can relate to it to make it easier to get a handle on the handleless, we have God the Father. In the West, mostly we have God the Father. But then in India, you've got God the Father, God the Mother, God the Brother, God the baby, God the parent, God the wonderful, compassionate, sweet parent, God the firm, thundering parent, etc. So this is Gopala. Gopala is Krishna's name as a little boy. And the story is that his mother caught him eating dirt, and she said, "Open your mouth, you naughty boy." And he opens his mouth. She looks into his mouth to look for the dirt, and she sees the whole cosmos. She sees all the stars, all the universes, past, present, future, everything, including herself, looking into Krishna's mouth, and including all the dirt in the world exactly where it belongs. And she says, "Oh, you can close your mouth. Excuse me, my lord." Right. So, we deal with our kids. I've been in there dealing with a baby all day, and sometimes we forget that we're dealing with God, and then we get reminded. So in the Kirtan tradition, we have songs depending on your mood. Sometimes you want to sing to God as your parent, sometimes as your lover, sometimes as your baby. Sometimes you want God to be the parent and you're the baby. So it's all there. Songs for all occasions. So this is a lullaby, and the only word you need to know is Gopala. Gopala is Krishna's childhood name. Literally, it means cowherd boy, the little cowboy. This is like the good shepherd in the Christian tradition. And this particular one was actually written by a contemporary, wonderful kirtan singer, actually a dear friend of ours, Uttal. Go on YouTube, look for stuff by Uttal, J-A-I-U-T-T-A-L, J-A-I-U-T-T-A-L. He's an incredible singer and musician and just huge devotional heart. So the only word you need to sing along with is, or if you feel like singing along, is Gopala. There's another verse I may do with a bunch more words. So it's all about saying good stuff about baby Krishna. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Everyone can hear the voice and the uke okay? Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. There, Francisca, you hear the sus. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. I'm going to interrupt myself again. This makes me think of my late first wife. Whenever she would see someone who was really in trouble, but she sees some, horrible, derelict, homeless person on the street really suffering, and she would always say, that was someone's little baby. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nata Narayan Vasudeva Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nata Narayan Vasudeva Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Gopala. So, may all beings see all other beings as their beloved divine baby children. May all beings feel themselves being rocked in the arms of the infinite. May all beings be happy and may peace prevail everywhere. Loka samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Loka samastaha sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Big love to you all. I'll see you around.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year every day. Happy New Year every moment.